welcome to Lesbian Love. This is your girl Z, and today my special guest is Emily Rose. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Great. Now, Emily Rose, when I say the word love, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
First thing that comes to mind is something that I respect and I value. I think that's a huge thing, that if you love something, you treat it equally as you would treat and love yourself.
You know, as it relates to labels, how do you label yourself?
I label myself as a femme lesbian, very proudly.
And when did you know you were gay?
So I actually started realizing that I was gay in kindergarten. I would always play daddy as house, and I got to kiss the mommy. And that was like my segue into it. Then people had started like finding out that that was happening. And because like we would have like friends come over, and play, and like still me and we'll call her Kaylee. Me and Kaylee still played our same roles and everything. And then people at school, like they would go back and they're like, Emily and Kaylee are kissing. And we're like, what? And I had met another girl, we'll call her Elizabeth, and she was like also like very curious and very open about it. And then, it was kind of just turned into everyone like finding out. Guys started making fun. Also, like other girls were starting to make fun of, because again, we went to a Catholic school. So once that started getting around, like we started being taught a lot more actively that it is for a man and a woman, that this is unacceptable. So it went on. I didn't, date. Like I would probably like hold boys' hands, but then it wasn't until like sixth to eighth grade where I started like finding my niche with boys, and that was little emo skater boys with like the long hair that wore eyeliner and had their nails done. So I was pretty much looking for a lesbian.
Right. Yeah. A lesbian on a skateboard.
Yeah. And I was friends with this girl who went to another school. And the guy that she liked went to my school, and we were friends. And maybe she thought like I liked him and I wanted to be with him, but she was like, hey, I'm going to set you up with this guy. And I was like, okay, awesome, amazing. And she showed me pictures, and it was exactly my type, like a very feminine little boy. And I was like, yes, this is exactly what I want. We talked on the phone, we texted, we did a lot of IMing. We were on MySpace. On MySpace, it was like Bobby, and then it had like the birthday, and it said male and everything like that. And after like dating for a little bit, I was a cheerleader. So whenever we would do our rival schools, we would see each other at like games, like football games, soccer games, football games, stuff around that sort. And like we started making out and everything. And then like, like you do your little eighth grade, like I want to rub some parts. And I found out it was a girl.
Wait,
So,
your boyfriend Bobby was actually a girl.
yes, and it was like a huge like prank like against me. But then we had started like we had already had a relationship. So at that point, like yeah, I was super mad. Like I had been being lied to. Like my feelings were hurt, but at the same time, and I was like, oh my god, I already like girls. So like this is just kind of like a segue. But no one really knew that. So like in my head, like I was having to be like, oh, how dare you? Like, I would never do this. Da, da, da. We ended up still talking and staying together. And then we went to a fair, small town fair. Found out Bobby was cheating on me in eighth grade. My heart was broken. I was like, I just came out for you. Like, da da da. Forgave him, got back together. We ended up telling both of our parents that we were gay. I tried to tell my mom that it was a boy, and my mom was like, no, that is not Emily. That is not a boy. That is a girl that looks like a boy. That is a lesbian. And I was like,
Mom was like, yeah.
Yeah. She was like, I could tell just by her hands. Like, they're such feminine, dainty hands. And I was like, oh, you're so crazy. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And
Wow.
Bobby's family is Mexican and Catholic. So whenever they came out to them, it was not good.
So, do you know where Bobby is now?
Yeah, so we are still friends. I just talked to him today actually, and I say him now because Bobby has transitioned from a female to a male.
So how did your family react to you coming out, particularly since you grew up in the Catholic church and going to a Catholic school?
So my dad has always been just kind of laissez-faire, whatever. Doesn't really matter anything that I do. My dad was a lot older than my mom too. Everyone thought he was my grandpa. So I think he was just kind of like, Emily, do what you want. You're my baby girl. My closest brother and sisters are like 12 years older than me. So like I was literally like a baby to him. So he's like, yeah, whatever. My mom, on the other hand, now we've had a conversation so I can like speak on exactly what she was thinking at the time. But you have to remember this was like 15, 16 years ago. And I was in eighth grade the first time that I really tried coming out. And whenever I came out to my mom, it wasn't even with just Bobby. I had wrote her an email saying, "Hey mom, I'm bisexual," like just trying to like ease it in that way. And I got home. My dad took me to the store. We were at Winn-Dixie, and I got home, and she was like, "No, absolutely not." My mom did not believe in spanking, but she had like threw my pageant trophy at me, and she was like, "You need to go live with your sister." She was just like, but she didn't understand, and like in her head, like she was just trying to like grasp, like, how could you be a lesbian? You do pageants, you're a cheerleader. But she explained to me, she's like, whenever it was lesbians in that time, it was a lesbian that looked like a boy, had their hair cut off, wanted to dress in boys' clothing, usually had like those big, bulky, like earrings and lip piercings and everything everywhere, wasn't really doing anything in their life. Honestly, most were homeless that like you would see like just on like the streets and everything like that, or it was just a degenerate crowd. So she thought, you're not going to get educated. You want to look like a boy. I don't understand. You're so girly. Like, how could this be? There's no way you're really gay. And I was like, nope, still very gay. And then after living with my sister for a summer, I came back home. I ended up getting like a beard as a boyfriend. We just so that I could leave my house and I could do things. He would come and pick me up so we could go to parties and hang out. And because my mom was still very cautious with me about having girls that were friends over. Finally, my senior year, I was 17. I had started talking to girls online. I had a separate dating profile and I didn't have my real name or my real picture. But I was not completely
people.
I was not completely catfishing people because once we started like talking and everything, I let them know right off the bat, hey, my real name's Emily. This is my picture. I'm not comfortable. I'm not out yet. My family is not accepting of it. I just can't use that as my main profile picture, but this is who I am if you still want to talk and stuff like that. Like I couldn't keep suffering. I was 250 pounds. I wasn't coming out of my room. Like I was depressed, and I was depressed for so long because I couldn't be who I was. So suppressing equals depressing. And it wasn't good. He actually tried outing me to my parents. And I was like, oh no, like at the moment, like I just kind of really wasn't completely ready. And then finally, once I graduated high school completely and I enrolled in college, I came out to them and I stayed out to them and I corrected anyone who tried to say anything different. So I've been out now since 2012. It's been 8 years. And still to this day, I come out every single day.
Mm-mm. You probably still have to tell people, who you are because you don't look like they're stereotypical lesbian. So I imagine people say you're too girly to be gay or you don't look gay. How do you handle
All
that?
the time. So I wear a lot of my own apparel. I own a company called Do I Look Gay Yet? So whenever I wear shirts that say, Do I Look Gay Yet? It's a pretty like solid, yep, she's gay. So I went to TJ Maxx today. Of course, I was wearing this. I was exchanging a dress, and person on the other side was clearly a lesbian, and she looked at me and she was like, "Hey, I like your shirt." And I was like, it was kind of like that TikTok. It was like, hey, I like your style. And they're like, are you gay? Are you gay? I kind of like felt that TikTok I was living in. I'm like, yeah. And it was nice to feel like recognized and valid in the community. So whenever I can, I wear a lot of gay shirts. I wear a lot of gay apparel. One of them says like proud. I got from another just LGBTQ clothing line. And then I have one that says I matched with your mom on Tinder. I have one that says like sorry boys, I like tacos. So like there's like a wide variety of apparel that I wear as a femme lesbian. And it kind of stops me having to say the words like, oh, I'm gay. I even in a workplace situation, I've always been loud and proud and out about it. Like I don't go purposely like walk in, oh, hey, I'm gay, but I don't exclude it from my conversations. And I actually just started a new job and I could not ask for a more amazing company to work for. There are always going to be people that do not accept you and love you for who you are. And those are people you don't want to be around, you don't need to have in your life. So if you ever feel like you're at work and you have to hide it, you're in the wrong environment. You're not in a happy, productive, safe environment.
What about people who just don't respect your sexuality because they think it's a phase. You don't look gay, so they don't believe that you're really gay.
You know, I face this in the community and outside of the community. I face it, and not as much as inside of the community with people like not validating that I'm gay anymore because my platform is completely gay. A lot of people have followed me since I came out. I've been active on social media for 8 years about being a lesbian. So I don't face it so much in the community anymore as much as just like random guys. I mean, if you go to my profile, you know I'm gay. You know I'm a lesbian. You know that there's no chance. Yeah. And still I'll get guys that say just today, I got one that said, no disrespect. You're super pretty. I would love to take you out sometime. And I'm like, well, you disrespected me right off the bat by not respecting my sexuality because you think that you could come in and change my mind. Like as if a date or a DM is going to just change and flash my sexuality's changed. And they're like, but you just look so girly. You look like a typical girl I would date. You're my type. And I'm like, I'm not your type. I will never be your type. You will never be my type. And like that needs to be like where a lot of respect like lays. I probably out of all like the gay guy or not gay guy friends, straight friends that I have that are guys, I have maybe one or two that I can think of right off the bat that respect me, that would never do anything to like jeopardize me and my sexuality, that will stand up for me in my face, behind my back, will always be the biggest activist. And, you know, one of them is a older male. He's like 45 and he's in a biker gang and covered in tattoos, an ex-Marine. And I love him so much. He is one of like the biggest person for like equality. And he says all the time, he's like, all my friends are lesbians. I was like, I know. Like literally all his friends are lesbians. He's like, I hang out with the gays, so there's less drama for me. And I was like, that works. And then another one, they're in the Navy and he was raised by all women. And he just respects me as a woman. It doesn't even have to be my sexuality. He just respects that, like, if I say that I'm a lesbian, that he knows that's it. Like, I don't have to have an explanation. I don't need to have a conversation. It's not something that he even tries to explore with, like, side passes. He's like, nope, respect it, love you, love your sexuality. I'm here to support you. And, like, that's sad because I have a lot of straight friends.
I love that because at the end of the day, it's not really as much about acceptance as it's about respect. If you just respect my personal life, I'm going to respect your space and we can respect the differences between us.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's at minimum what I ask for someone. And that's whenever I say, like, what does love mean? I mean, love is respect. And you don't have to like me, but you need to love me enough as a human being to respect me. And I think a lot of people get those two things confused because there's a lot of people I don't like, but I love each and every one of them. I wish nothing but success and love and happiness for every single one of them. And I will respect any of their decisions that they make. I still don't like them, but I love them.
Definitely. You know, when I think about respect or disrespect or division, I also have to think about the division within the LGBT plus community. We're a huge community. LGBTQIAP is it's a lot.
Plus,
Yes. And so within the community, there is division. Um, what's your kind of like perspective or experience on that?
so, honestly, this month, starting June, I have had probably been attacked by more people in the community than I have ever. I had a post on my social media from it's like 37 weeks ago where I talked about how I typically do not date bisexual women, or I have dated them like casually, but I've never been in a relationship with one because I've had bad past experiences with them. And I reached out to the community and I asked them, like, what are your experiences? Like, what have you gone through? And I had someone comment on there, like, the biphobia here is unreal. And I'm like, no, I'm not scared of bisexuals. I have friends and family that are bisexual that I love, and I still choose that not to date them, like because they always end up leaving me for a traditional like marriage or a guy, or they don't respect me as a lesbian in our relationship. So I like they would start dating a guy while they're talking to me, and that's never acceptable and that's never okay. But they're like, oh, because you're a girl, like I don't have to take this as serious. And there are bisexuals out there that are truly bisexual that, they like both and they like them both equally, and that they will stay committed to the person that they are with. But then those are very rare and hard to find. Most of the time you find bisexuals that are married and they're looking for thirds or a unicorn.
What do you think about like the division between transsexuals? They're still a part of the LGBT plus community, but they don't seem to really overlap too much with gay men or lesbians. There just seems to be a huge divide.
Yeah. So I get asked this a lot. I have a couple of friends that are female to male. And I have one that asked me, like, hey, would you ever be interested in dating or like giving it a shot? And in my head, I see trans that have gone from male to female as males, just like I look as females that have gone from male to female as female. So my response to my F2Ms is that I am a lesbian. That is a label I choose. I am comfortable with my label. A lot of people are not comfortable with labels. I respect you and I respect that about you. I am 1,000% comfortable with my label as a lesbian. If I was to date a trans male, I would feel as if I was in a heterosexual relationship. And that messes with my sexual identity because I view you exactly how you want to be viewed. And while, yes, you are a part of my community, you identify as a male and I identify as a lesbian. So I have a disconnect with that. And I think long term, it would really start to mess with me and I would miss those female factors. Because what I look for in a female is feminine. I want you to, want to wear makeup with me or, to interchange clothes or us do our hair together and stuff like that. And I'm not going to get that out of a male to female or female to male. And then on reversely, I was asked, like, would you date a male to female? And my answer is yes, of course I would. I view you as a female. And while that would be something that I would have to overcome with my sexuality when it comes to actually having sex, I think that would be a whole nother conversation. And I think it would also have to do with how far along in the process you are. Like if you're just starting in your 6 months, I don't feel comfortable enough with that where you're like, oh, this is exactly what I want. This is exactly like who I am just personally. I want to know that like you feel whole as a person because that hormone factor throughout that time, especially your first year, is so crazy emotionally for them. And I have been there by my friend's side and like you can see them unravel in 1 second and like not want to do it anymore. And so if I was going to get into a relationship with someone who is a transgendered female, I would want them to be fully encompassed and dedicated and wanting to be a female.
Well, Emily Rose, I want to thank you so much for your time today, sharing your perspective. You definitely have gone through a journey even the whole Bobby story was fascinating to me when Bobby turned out to be a girl. So
Wow. And I was like, oh, God wanted me to be gay.
right, see, it was meant to be. Wow, I want to thank you so much for your time and sharing your story with us today. Um, I will continue to follow you on social media and give us your information.
Yeah. So on Instagram, you can find me at e.rose underscore underscore. And then if you like TikTok, my name is Emily Rose Edition. I have a huge platform on there of just gay TikTok. So if you're a lesbian and you want some good lesbian content, I got you.
Gotcha. I will share that information as well.
Awesome. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much, Emily Rose. And also, I always remind everyone on Let's Be Love, let's be the love that you want to see in this world.
So true.